Student loans have become the single biggest burden weighing down young people in this country. Total student debt in America exceeds $1.5 trillion, and that number gets bigger every year. Even successful young people are taking far longer to get off the ground, buy homes, get married, have children. Millions more are finding themselves completely mired in debt servitude. This is changing our society. Young people are not leaving their parents' homes. When they do, they live with roommates. They're delaying, as we said, marriage. Some are not having no children. Colleges, though, by profound contrast, are doing great. And if you haven't seen how great they're doing, drive out and take a look at one. Why are they so affluent? Well, because they hike tuition every year, and there are no consequences. With this money, they have funded a building boom that has lasted for decades. Top administrators live like feudal lords, enriched by a population of student serfs. The cost of college is distorting our society in a way that is fundamentally unsustainable. Well, last time we proposed a fix to this, a very simple one. Make colleges share the risk by co-signing student loans of their students. If a student can't pay the debt, college is on the hook. Michael Simkovic is a professor of law and accounting at the University of Southern California. He joins us today. Professor, thanks very much for coming on. So this seems like something that somebody would have proposed a long time ago. I can't find a record of that, not sure why. If you and I go into business together, we assume we're going to share the upside, but we're also on the hook for the downside if it goes in the wrong direction. Colleges have this amazing deal where it's only upside for them. They get federally backed student loans that make them incredibly rich. And if the kids don't succeed once they leave, it's on them. Why is that fair?
So Tucker, let's talk about the upside of education, right? The upside of education is people who are educated earn substantially more money. They're more likely to be employed. They are less of a burden on social insurance programs like unemployment and disability. And that provides benefits to the student, but it also provides benefits to the government budget in the form of higher income tax revenue, higher payroll tax revenue, and lower expenses. And the benefits to the government in the form of higher revenue and lower costs are actually larger than the benefits to the educational institution in the form of tuition.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
if we had the government...
I think that's true. I mean, a lot of what you said is true. You want an educated workforce, and a lot of people benefit from college, especially in the sciences. I would never deny that. But the student loan bubble is larger than any other form of debt other than mortgage debt right now. And it's clearly crushing an entire generation of young people. Colleges, as you know, because you work at one, are richer than ever. Why shouldn't they share in the risk? Why should taxpayers be on the hook for that debt? And colleges assume no responsibility for it. What's the answer to that?
Right. Well, Tucker, if they were sharing in the upside as well as the downside, colleges would actually be being paid more. As far as the size of the student loan debt, $1.5 trillion. To put that in context, household net worth is $104 trillion, according to the Federal Reserve. The present value of government spending, if you just do a discounted cash flow analysis, that's $200
I'm confused.
trillion.
So are you arguing that student debt...
The U.S. economy is $1,000 trillion. So the amount of student loan debt
it's smaller than the known galaxy, too, but that's not... Okay, but those comparisons don't mean very much. I don't think you're arguing that student debt isn't exerting downward pressure on the way young people live, because you know that it is. It's distorting the society.
Actually, no, it's helping people to live better because they earn substantially more money. If you look at household net worth, if you look at income, if you look at any measure, people who are more highly educated are doing better than people who are less educated.
Okay, but not everyone who goes...
finance that
but not everyone who goes to college winds up highly educated. Many don't get their degrees in the first place. They're still on the hook for student debt. Thousands take, women's studies courses and become women's studies majors. They're obviously not situated to succeed well in the marketplace. But let me give you some example. So at Baylor, I just picked this up right at the top, Baylor University in Texas. President Ken Starr, I know him, fine guy. His compensation, about $5 million a year. The average debt for someone graduating from Baylor, $44,000. The average early career pay for a graduate, $54,000. So you tell me if those numbers make any sense at all. The college gets rich, kids assume massive amounts of debt, and there's not an economy to support them and pay off that debt. Why aren't they getting scammed by you?
Most people do pay off their loan. Student loan default rates at four-year institutions that are either public or private nonprofit are only around 6 to 7%, and recovery rates around 80%. And the programs are profitable for the federal government.
Good. So you shouldn't have any problem co-signing for them. Look, if it's a good deal, then why wouldn't you co-sign?
Without even getting into all of the benefits to tax revenue. The problem that we have, Tucker, is really underinvestment in education. There are huge economic benefits in terms of higher earnings, more innovation, faster economic growth, and there are countless studies which show this.
Yeah,
and it's not
studies
just
show
associated
it.
with education.
As someone who lives in this country, I can tell you those studies are a crock, because actually young people are now socialists because of it. Yeah.
So to get back to your question about university pay, since you talk about socialism and whether we should be concerned about presidents making too much money, there's a market for managerial talent. If you look at
there's a market.
How much executives
it's a free market.
I
will say this. I'm sorry, we're out of time for this segment, but I didn't think we'd find someone who would defend student debt. You will, and I really hope that you will come back and we can talk about this at greater depth. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor.
Thank you.
Brian Brenberg is also a professor at King's College in New York. He chairs the Business and Finance program, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thank you very much for coming on. So you just heard one of your, I suppose, colleagues in the same business anyway, argue that student debt is a great deal. It doesn't hurt kids at all. Colleges have no responsibility to put any skin in this game whatsoever, and everything is fine. Is that true?
Well, this is the problem. Your previous guest was really interesting. You notice he said something time and time again. He said, look, students who go to college are more successful in their careers. It's this insidious view that students who succeed in life are dependent on the college education they got. There's another view out there, Tucker, and that is, look, students who can succeed in life go to college, but college doesn't have anything to do with their preparation. And we look at colleges and we see what's going on. People look at the way money is spent. They look at the classes students take, and they say, wait a second, is college really the key to students making it in life? Or is college simply a way station on the way for them? But without it, they would have been just fine. Your previous guest didn't answer that question. He's operating on that assumption that unless you go to college, you don't have a shot. And that's just patently not true.
So I guess this is a debate that's been going on for a long time, and I'm on your side on this question. But what I had never looked at until recently were the numbers on where the money's going. So here you have a taxpayer-backed program created by lobbyists, in effect, exempt from bankruptcy law, that funnels billions and billions of dollars into these left-wing citadels, our colleges, and they don't have any liability whatsoever. It's just free money for them. I mean, there's just no downside at all. Isn't that the definition of a scam?
Well, it is. Look, schools ought to have skin in the game. There's no question about it. And you're right, when it comes to these big institutions that have been around for a very long time, they just don't have a lot of skin in the game because they're living on their reputation. I think what's interesting, if you look at younger schools, upstart schools that are trying to disrupt this space, it's a different story for them. They don't have that reputation. Every student they send out in the marketplace, they've got skin in the game.
Right.
Because if that student doesn't perform, people aren't going to hire students from your college. Your reputation takes a hit. So you're right. It is a scam, and it's a taxpayer funded. This is really, we talk about socialized costs.
Oh, yeah.
This is socialized costs.
And it's hurting a whole generation of kids.
Well, they're getting awful preparation for the real world. They're skimming through college. They're not being challenged. When they are challenged, there's always somebody swooping in saying, no, don't punish them. You're not gonna make it in the real world like that.
I've noticed. Professor, thank you very much for that.
You bet.